In the great temples of Nazarick, we follow the elder lich Ainz Ooal. His character used to live in the real world, but was trapped in a game. He's surrounded by the servants of the temple, all of which have their own unique personalities and quirks. They had been created by himself and his allies. Ainz is shown to be a merciful and benevolent leader after he rescues a village and fights off a savage military force. You can feel his humanity in the balance as the show progresses. His character development is done extremely well, where throughout the show you start to understand the perspective in which he views mercy and justice out of. In the end, the Temple of Nazarick strives for world domination. The show does a really great job to develop both the surrounding world and the secondary characters where it feels natural and has a really great pacing to me. From Demiurge, who's a tactical and ruthless planner, to Sebas, who's a faithful and noble servant, the characters are just so well developed, and in many cases, you can relate to the naivete and childlike behavior of some. But then, with those same characters, you see their ruthlessness and nonchalance of warfare. So it's like a very interesting dichotomy that they are able to portray over the screen. In some cases, it feels kind of unnatural because Ainz follows along with his followers, which to me reduces the character a little bit since he's supposed to be like an all-powerful creature, but also goes to show how valuable he believes companionship is in this new world, and all he has is his servants. The world in which they live in is filled with monsters, whether it's man or wild. It becomes apparent that maybe Ainz is right to bring in all races into his empire, unlike humans who disparage the differences. And because of that, he's able to get dwarves, Kogai, I can't remember how to say it, the mole-like human, demi-humans, the frost dragons, they're able to get a lot because of that type of perspective. And for that, I would say the world building and character development would be a 9.1 for me. For the majority of the show, the animations were pretty well done, although the CGI of some of the creatures, like the skeletons, humans, and ogres, could look very odd at times, specifically when they're in battle. So that would diminish the score a little bit, but overall, the animations were well done, so I'm going to give it about a 7.8 for animation. The story and plot involves a lot of civilization building, resource management, and compromises with secondary characters. Ainz was willing to follow what I would consider a slippery slope morally because his underlings followed that path. Demiurge seemed to make plans and Ainz was willing to just go along with them despite them leading to potential moral dilemmas that Ainz even had. The secondary stories developed rapidly and led to some very, interesting results that I didn't expect, so I liked that. I do think that the main task of finding other players seemed to become a peripheral goal. But with that said, I think it gave a lot of leeway and time for the developers to character develop and allow Nazarick itself to get more powerful. There were a lot of tragic stories which involved evil characters who simply acted like monsters despite being humans. They had very bittersweet endings because in one token, it was really nice to see justice being served and them being removed from the story and eliminated in general. But at the same token, a lot of the time, they just left a wake of carnage in their path. And characters that you get attached to and really like and hope the best for them end up getting completely removed or killed or tortured at times. And they did a very good balance between the bittersweet type endings where justice still prevailed, but in a way that you wish it didn't have to. So because of that, I give the story and plot an 8.5. This show follows the Isekai trope, which is pretty overdone and saturated within anime. But for me, they were able to differentiate themselves by putting the viewer in the shoes of the villain's perspective, and in doing so, allowing the viewer to see the lines between their own morality and their justifiable actions. For me, it was hard to actually relate to Ainz because of this, because a lot of it seemed unjustifiable and wouldn't lead to the results that I would think that they would want. It also does a good job at still somehow being relatable despite the atrocities that get committed. So I can relate to Ainz in a lot of ways, but some of the decisions just seemed kind of irrational to me. I personally haven't watched too many anti-hero characters like this, so for me it did feel original, but I've read that it's pretty common in anime. So I'm still going to rate this high because, again, for my experience, it was good and original, but I understand if you would rate this lower. So I'm going to give this an 8.3 for originality. If we were to combine all of these ratings, we would get an 8.4 scoring, which to me is pretty dang good. If you guys have any questions, corrections, or comments, make sure to leave them below, and make sure to like and subscribe if you found this entertaining. Thank you guys so much, and I look forward to making the next one. See ya.